G'day fellow fishers, welcome to another video down on the beautiful beach about the mighty tailor. But before I get into that, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of the people who've been joining the waitlist for Rogers Fishing. Rogers Fishing is going to be an amazing resource of instruction and learning and coaching about all aspects of fishing, but more about that later. If you would like to join the waitlist for Rogers Fishing, just click the link above and it'll take you through to a page where you can put in your email address, and then it will ask you a question. What would you like to see as part of this new online community? And it'd be great to get your feedback how I can help you with your fishing. In this video we are talking about the mighty tailor. In Australia we call this fish the tailor, but if you're living in America you know it as bluefish. So they obviously get around, these fish. And also, if you live in South Africa, or I suppose all of Africa really, they are called shad. And they catch heaps of shad in that area. So in this video, we're going to look at every possible detail about tailor fishing, including some important things like how does a tailor bite? That's actually important. And also, how does a tailor fight? Do you play a tailor a certain way? Well, yes, you do if you want to catch them. Now, when it comes to beach fishing, what location do you find tailor? Well, essentially you can find tailor pretty much right up and down a beach, because you'll get them in the deep water, the shallow water. They come into water really as shallow as knee deep or even less. I've seen them scooting up along the edge of the waves right on the edge of the shore. So tailor are predatory fish who are hunting, for small fish to eat. So when you're fishing off the beach, it's not so critical whether you cast into the deep water or into the white water, and often it's better to cast into the white water. There are a number of rigs that you can use fishing for tailor, but I'm going to focus in this video on ganged hooks, because ganged hooks are very effective, especially if you're using a nylon or like a monofilament or fluorocarbon trace, because tailor, they have such razor sharp teeth. They just bite straight through line. But ganged hooks are awesome. You very rarely get bitten off when you use ganged hooks. Now what I've done here is I've actually got I've put a snap swivel on the end of the ganged hooks. I've got a really short leader, probably 15 centimeters or 6 inches long. Then I actually have a running sinker. You can actually see this rig in my other video on 6 killer rigs for beach fishing. But you can see I've got a running sinker on a leader. The running sinker's on a leader about 40 centimeters long. When it comes to bait, an amazing bait for tailor is the humble pilchard. In some places they call them sardines. In Western Australia they call them muleys. And they're a small fish that you put on your ganged hooks. But also an excellent bait is fresh strips of fish fillet, what you call slabs, or slab bait, and also fresh squid. And I've actually found it an amazing thing to use a slab of fresh fish fillet or a strip of squid on ganged hooks. That is amazingly effective. And later in this video I'm going to show you how to put a fillet of fish and also squid onto ganged hooks. First, I line them up. I'm putting the end hook in first. I bring it around, middle hook in, and then the top hook goes through the eye of the fish, because the head part of the fish is nice and strong, helps hold the bait on. So you can see there that I've got my pilchard put on, and this is absolutely a smorgasbord for tailor, and they get nailed every time. Here I've got the body of a squid. In this case it's an arrow squid. So what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to cut that end bit off there. I'm preparing this to put some on a ganged hook. You can see, look, it's still got a bit of guts and goo in there. What I want to do when I put it on the ganged hook, I actually want to use a strip of squid. So I'm going to cut, in this case, this piece of squid would be, it's quite long there. It's maybe 1.5 to 2 centimeters wide. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually so that I know the size that I need, I'm going to line these ganged hooks up here so I can see where each hook is going to enter the squid. I don't want it to be too long. I'm actually going to just trim that off. I'm not being too fussy. So essentially now, when I put this piece of squid on, actually I'm going to just peel the skin off it because it's best to have the white colour of the squid. So I'm removing that bit of skin. Now I'm going to put this piece of squid on. You put the end hook in first. So I'm just lining it up to see where that end hook needs to be so that my top hook is just near the top of the bait. So it needs to go through about there. So essentially I'm going to put this hook in first. I've put that through, you can see that. Then I'm swinging it around and I'm going to put this second hook through. You've got to wiggle it a little bit to get the ganged hook through like so. So you can see I've got the second hook in. And then the third hook you can see is going to go through here about 1 centimetre before the top. So I'm going to just push that through and then wiggle the hook around. So the end result, you can see the end result is the piece of squid on the ganged hooks like that. That's a great bait. It's actually an awesome bait because you've got 3 barbs in that bait. The fish are going to get nabbed big time. So that's how you put a bit of squid on a ganged hook. And I reckon that's a cracker of a bait. Here I have a piece of, this is a fillet of a small Australian salmon that I caught the other day. And salmon fillets make great bait. And I'm going to put this on ganged hooks, just like I have the squid. So essentially, I'm just going to trim that end bit off. I don't really want that. I'm going to, because I want to do a bit of a strip, maybe 2 centimetres wide, I'm going to cut this through there like that. Obviously from this fillet you're going to get a number of baits. Now I'm going to put this on the ganged hook, so I'm just lining that up there. When you're down at the beach, you obviously don't do this till you're down at the beach, but it's not too hard. Just cut yourself a strip. This bait's a little bit too long. I don't want to have too much bait hanging on the end where the fish can bite it and there's no actual hook. So I'm actually going to, you know, once you've actually done one, you could actually slice a whole bunch of baits. For example, if you get that there, you can work out that you want the bait to be that long, and then you could slice it up like so. So now I'm going to put this on the ganged hooks. But actually, first of all, when I look at that, that's a little bit thick. So I'm going to trim a little bit of the flesh off there because I want the barbs to stick out. And now I am going to put this on. Now when you use a bait like this that has, it's a fillet with skin on it, we want the barb of the hook to come out on the flesh side and to be in the flesh. So when I put this on, I'm putting the barb of the hook through the skin side. So starting with the end hook, I'm going to put it like that and put that through so you can see it like so. Then I'm going to bring over my second hook, do the same thing, put that through, and then come up to my last hook and just put that through. So you can see that's the from the skin side what that looks like. Now if I turn that over, have a look at that. That gets my fishing juices going, looking at that. I tell you what, I chucked that out off the beach. I'm going to get ready to hold on. That is a fantastic bait. So how does a tailor bite? Now this specifically more applies to bait fishing. We know that you can catch tailor on lures, but we're focusing on bait fishing in this video. Tailor are a really ravenous biter. The best way that I can describe it is when they grab your bait, they are like an angry dog just ragdolling the bait. You can feel it on your line. They just really shake it around. They're not like another fish that sort of bites a bit, picks it up and runs with it, although they do run with it, but they certainly bite in a very erratic way. And I found that often when you're using a pilchard bait, to set the hook, when you're feeling that bait being shaken around, you actually strike to set the hook at that point rather than waiting for a run like you do with other fish species. Now, when it comes to the tailor fight, this is important because tailor like to leap out of the water. They're quite an aerial fish. And when they get hooked, they will leap out of the water and shake around in an effort to shake your hooks out of their mouth. So when you hook a tailor, it's very important not to allow your line to go slack. You want to maintain pressure on the fish. You want to keep it taut so that when a tailor does jump out of the water, because it will, it'll jump out several times during a fight, that when it jumps out of the water, your line is actually tight to the tailor so that you're keeping your hooks embedded in its mouth. You're not letting it go slack so that it can shake the hooks out. So pretty much, tailor are a little bit different in that regard. You almost have to force them a little bit when you're fighting them. In other words, pull them hard and keep the pressure on all the time, and do that all the way to the shore so that that tailor doesn't get off. You'll certainly see what I mean. If you haven't caught tailor before and you start hooking some, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you've caught lots of tailor, well, then you know exactly what I mean. What is the best time of day to catch tailor? If tailor are schooling off a beach, you can catch them any time of the day. If they are schooling and feeding, and oftentimes they come in close to shore, and that's when you can throw lures into a school to catch them, and you can just as easily throw baits in as well. However, I've definitely found that tailor are more of a night feeder as a general rule. When I'm fishing off the beach and I've got some baits out there, even at the time of day, look, while we're filming right now, the sun is getting low. It's still a little bit too early for tailor at this point. Usually I find the sun has gone down and it's pretty much dark, but after dark, you get a lot of tailor bites. So that's the same also if you're fishing in a lake or a river. I've found the same thing. Once it gets dark, the tailor really come on. As far as the time of year for tailor, where I live on the New South Wales south coast, we catch them all year round. The best time of the year for really big tailor is between about February and May, which is right now actually. And I'm going to be doing a bit of tailor fishing tonight. So anyway, February to May for the really big fish, but you can catch them all year round. When it comes to eating qualities, what are tailor like? Well, I'll be honest, they're not the best 5-star fish. Some guys don't like to eat them, but a lot of people do enjoy eating tailor. The main thing is with tailor that you eat them fresh. You know, preferably on the day that you catch them, or perhaps just the following day. And they're no good to freeze. If you freeze tailor, their flesh actually starts to deteriorate and just goes really soft and mushy. So you don't freeze them. However, there is another really excellent way to eat tailor, and that is to smoke them. If you have a smoker, you make a brine, you soak the tailor overnight in a brine, your fillets, and then you cook them in the smoker. And I cooked some in a smoker recently and had some guests around, and everyone raved about the smoked tailor. It just went. So that was certainly a great way to eat it. Thanks for watching this video on the mighty Australian tailor. I hope it's been helpful for you. Make sure that you like this video and subscribe. And if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. And remember to check out rogersfishing.com if you'd like to join the waitlist for our new online fishing community. Happy fishing.